What is up, guys? Hey, how we doing? So, looks like I've got the glacial till going on in my voice today. I don't know what happened. Coming back from Canada, I feel great, but my voice is shot. So anyway, you're gonna have to deal with that today. I'm gonna break down the 250s and Shane McElrath's crazy comeback to get the overall win. And I've been very nice to World Supercross about some of the things that I think that need to be changed. They did an amazing job, and I'm so happy how the event came off. It was a huge success. But I have some things that they can improve on, and I'll get to those at the end. As always, this video is provided by Nano Extreme. You got a couple more days, guys, of the buy one, get one free Cooksey special. I use this stuff on my knees, my lower back. It was great. I mean, I was a 3-hour flight from Vegas to Vancouver, and a 3-hour flight, I'm 6'4". So when I sit in those seats, man, I get so stiff and sore. This was one of the most comfortable flights that I've had in a long time, thanks to Nano Extreme. I put it on before the flight. I'm telling you, you gotta try this stuff. Make sure you put 2 in your cart, use code Cooksey at checkout, and it will make one of them for free. Buy one, get one free the rest of October, but you better hurry on that one, guys. Head over to the Coach Rob store. Coach Rob has an app designed to specifically kind of figure out where you're at with your sweat rate. And then they take your sweat rate off of the app that he has, and then they build you an energy fuel, the recovery drink designed specifically for your sweat rate. Go to Coach Rob store and check that out. All right, guys, let's get into this thing.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So that 250 race was so exciting. Shane McElrath pulled out one of the most unlikely victories of his career. Now, Shane McElrath historically has been really good on hard packed dirt. When it's really soft or kind of like ruddy, he doesn't tend to be the best rider, and he looked like he was going to struggle in qualifying, practice. He just wasn't one of the top guys. I think he qualified 6th fastest. And then after the first moto, he finished 7th. I'm like, wow, so much for tonight. But if he wants to be in this championship, he is going to have to salvage and at least make sure he gets into that super final and gets those extra points at the end of the night, because that is very important for these guys in this series. If you want to be a championship contender, you cannot miss the super final. And then heading into that first moto, so they give Super Pole points towards the overall for the evenings. So Max Anstey had a 5-point lead on Shane McElrath before gate drop on the first moto. Shane getting 7th and Max winning, it really put him behind the 8 ball. It was like, oh man, can he even get to a podium? Can he get to a top 5? It was looking bleak for Shane McElrath. And the true veteran that he is, he totally gritted it out. He came out in that second moto. He didn't even get a good jump off the line, but he just forced his way to the front. By the way, this footage is from he's got a documentary vlog that he's got on YouTube. I strongly recommend you subscribe to it. It is one of the best ones out there. But I talked to the guys and they said I could use a couple clips from it. No big deal. Make sure you head over to Shane's and subscribe. He still didn't have his confidence in that second moto, but he used racecraft to stay out front and win. It didn't hurt that Kyle Chisholm kind of threw up a roadblock behind him, but he took that and ran with it. And when Max Anstey came at him with a couple laps to go, he, like a true veteran that he is, took the lines he needed, went on for the win. It was pretty badass, but I was like, okay, well, there's one. Max Anstey getting second. It's still Max Anstey's night, no problem, right? Then he rips a whole shot in the third moto and just checks out. He was gone. He left him in the third moto. And Max fell apart. He had 2 crashes, ended up 11th. I mean, it looked really bad for Max Anstey. But you have to remember, he had those 5 Super Pole points and the first moto win, and then the second moto second. So he was still tied with Shane McElrath going into, the super final. And it was just whoever did better got the overall, which I wish they had told us that ahead of time. I didn't know where the points were. I didn't know that that's what it was. I knew it was close to that. That's something that World Supercross has to improve upon, at least I don't know if they did it on TV. In the crowd, we had no idea where all the points stood. He did tell me he made a bike change before that third moto and found more speed, because he didn't have that speed in the second moto. Like I said, he still won, even though he wasn't the fastest guy. That third moto, he found some speed, and he continued that speed into the super final and battled his ass off. And he knew he had to beat Max, and he came in. Max passed him, and he came back on Max right before the rhythm section, dove inside of him, and Max got scared. He thought he was going to land on him, kind of panicked, rode off the track, and then hit that slick stuff, the plywood, and just spun out. and it was right there, McElrath's night, boom. But that was one of the most unlikely wins and one of the best comebacks I've seen in a long time. Shane rides that 250 so good. It's such a bummer that he got kicked out of that class or pointed out of that class in the United States, because he's just a 250 specialist. That's what Shane McElrath is, and I truly believe he could be a career front runner in the 250 class if they let him stay there in the United States. But you know, they bumped him to the 450, and I don't know what it is about his style that he can't translate to that 450, but letting him go back to the 250 for World Supercross has really rejuvenated his career. So good on Shane McElrath, and I really like seeing him on that team. And that team is smart, man. That is such a good team with Yariv there to kind of talk him through, and Martin Davalos. They have something special going on there at that Firepower Honda team. So Max was second on the night. I'm sure he was disappointed because he was clearly the best guy all weekend. He looks so good on that Star Yamaha. You know, this was his first Supercross test on the Star Yamaha. I can tell you this, the dude's going to be a contender in whichever coast he's in. I don't think he's Deegan ready, but he will be right there getting podiums and battling up there, up near the front, which is exactly what he planned on doing when he signed with that team. Max Anstie, I hope they find a way to get him to the next 2 rounds. He was a wild card here, so I don't think he'll be at Australia and Abu Dhabi, but man, I really would love to see that. And the lone Canadian out there, Cole Thompson. Cole has, kind of like Shane McElrath later in his career, has had this resurgence in the 250 class. Last year, he finished second in the series behind Max Anstie. Cole Thompson is a badass, and he really, really wanted to win. When you win this GP, they play your national anthem at the end of the race, you know, when they're standing on the podium. That's a big deal, and that's something these guys really wanted. He really wanted to get that Canadian national anthem played, but he didn't. He got third, but he was still up on the podium, and that's good for Cole Thompson, and the Canadian fans absolutely love that guy. It was nice to see Enzo Lopes, who's been missing in action this whole year. He was back. He was on the Arby's Rick Ware racing bike. He looked pretty good. I mean, he wasn't super fast, but he had flashes. He had those Enzo flashes where he looked really good. We found out why he's been out. Apparently, he tried Botox to get rid of arm pump, and it gave him some sort of weird nerve damage or infection, and he's lost strength in his arm. Never heard anything like that, but I'll tell you what, do not use Botox for arm pump, guys. Enzo is a cautionary tale. I hope this doesn't end up costing him his career in the end. I hope it just continues to get better, but yeah, do not use Botox for arm pump. His teammate, Cody Schock, I fully expected Cody Schock to be battling for the win and to be on the podium. He was super fast. He was super smooth. He just didn't put it together. When you have 4 races like that, you got to be consistent. You got to get starts. Cody wasn't there, but he was still pretty good, and I think he ended up 5th overall. So good on Cody Schock and both the guys from Rick Ware Racing. And I got to meet Rick Ware. What a cool dude, man. Check out Epic Garage Designs. Epic Garage, Travis has some of the coolest stuff for your garage, trailer, pit area. Check out Epic Garage Designs. Travis is a motocross enthusiast, and he has some cool stuff over there. Strapped. Head over to Ride Strapped, get your goggles, get your shirts. And man, I thank Chris so much. He's the one that got me to go to Canada. We were supposed to go together. He wasn't able to make it. I definitely would have had more fun if he was there. Such a cool dude to hang out with. Check out Ride Strapped, get your goggles, get your Industry Outsider shirts, and support Ride Strapped. If you're shipping anything, use Precision Transport. This is a family-owned business that puts a solid emphasis on reasonable pricing and customer service. In the shipping industry, that's rare these days, so trust the Madden family and your stuff. Hit up pretransport.com. All right, guys, so I've spent the last couple of days praising World Supercross and what a great job they did. And they did an absolutely amazing job. And I don't want to take away from this. This is a new promotion. While this is the 3rd year of the series, all these people that came in and produced this event are pretty much new. There's very few carryovers, and this group took what they had. It was their first run. So while it's a 3rd year, this is still their first run at it. So I'm not being very critical of them, but I do have some things that they definitely need to work on and improve, and they can actually become more of a leader in this sport than just trying to be similar to American Supercross and just take it around the world. I think they can actually take it and one-up it and really show how it should be in a lot of things. First thing, these tough boxes suck. They are not good. So in America, we have tough blocks. They have like a pad underneath them, and the covers are kind of strapped to them. They put these covers on a cardboard box. So as soon as the riders hit it, the box folds, and then the cover immediately wraps up in the bike. We have got to figure that out or get those completely off the track. My idea is, like in the rhythm sections and some of those places, you take the tough blocks and you put them off about 6 inches. You build right off the side of the jump. You build like a little L, maybe 6 inches down, drop the block right in there. The issue is when you do that, now you open up the side of the jump. And we know these guys are racers and they're going to try and stay as low as possible. If you look at any practice track, you'll see where guys cut off the lip of the jump by scrubbing around the side. You can't let them do that. So what you do is you take the track markers like they use in outdoor nationals, put a couple up the jump. You take chalk like they use for baseball and you chalk right behind that. And you tell the riders, listen, much like how they have rumble strips and the yellow in IndyCar, that part of the track is not part of the track. It's there for safety. If you hit it, it better be just like an accident. You better have lost your line. You should not use that as a regular line. And if you make a pass in the chalk, you will get docked. That's it. You only use it, save about this much of the track on the side, and that will keep them from, hitting a lower spot in the jump and doing the things that they do at the practice track. They had 4 main events, which was absolutely awesome. I loved it. As a fan, I couldn't get enough. Looking at the riders afterward, they were exhausted. I mean, they were fully spent. Like 4 main events with that intensity. Supercross here, they do the Triple Crowns. The guys are pretty tired. You add 1 more to that, and it was brutal. They extended out the third and super final motos to 12 laps instead of 8 laps. But they're worth the same amount of championship points. I don't understand that. So they either need to combine those two and add, laps and points to the second. Either you add points or make the laps the same. And if you make all the races 8 laps, you solve 2 problems. You keep the format and you get less track time. I honestly think that's what they should do, is just keep them all the same length, 8 laps. Problem solved. But it won't be as bad when they get to a track that's a little more hard packed. That's soft dirt, and that track was gnarly, and it took a lot out of those guys. It was a physically demanding track, so yeah, it wore them down, and that's part of the reason they were so tired. And when they get to a track where it's a little hard packed, I don't think this format will bother them as much. And after watching the TV broadcast, holy crap. Whoever they have spotting for their TV producer and telling them where to watch what action sucked. They did not. They missed almost all the good action. There were so many cool things that they missed. And whoever, in America, they have a couple people that sit there and say, hey, film 3rd and 4th, something's about to happen. Go to 2nd and 1st. Roxton's about to get passed by Tomac. They can kind of anticipate it and tell them where to cut to. Whoever did that, you suck. You're horrible and you didn't do a good job. Whoever they have doing that, maybe fire them and bring in somebody who understands racing a little bit more and can point to the right sections and get the cameras where the action is. And the other thing is Super Pole was like almost 45 minutes to an hour before the major event. I think some of the fans that got there a little bit later missed Super Pole. They didn't understand, wait, Super Pole now is worth points? They need to have Super Pole a little bit closer to that first moto and make sure on the broadcast that they emphasize who got Super Pole and they have 5 championship points leading into the first moto. They need to make sure also between the 2nd and 3rd motos, they really need to focus on who's around the 8th, 9th, and 10th place. That's the bubble to make the super final. And that's super important because that's an extra moto for championship points. That matters. It's like an LCQ inside of the 3rd main, and they can focus on that. There's multiple different storylines. They need to make sure they tell those ahead of time. So if the front of the race gets boring, we can watch and go, oh yeah, that dude in 9th has to get to 7th. And, we kind of have an idea where the points are. I told them in the stadium, we need something in the stadium that shows that. And then also on TV, I think they need to do a better job of explaining where these guys need to be. And it's going to get complicated, but if it's complicated for them, it's really complicated for the fans. So you have to figure out how to relay that information in a digestible manner to the audience. Now here's a couple things that aren't new. The AMA, and they always have concrete. Remember when Faulkner landed on the concrete and almost died, and they have plywood here? Can we please get some mats just to roll around the side of the track that have a little bit more grip? So when Anstey went off, he didn't have that spin out. And if somebody does crash, it's not nearly as hard. That plywood and concrete is nasty. If you put some sort of wrestling mat, some sort of a work mat, you ever see the mats that people stand on in garages? There's so many different options these days. World Supercross could be the innovator in putting those around the track in sections where riders may go off. I think that's something that they could be the leader on and just set the tone. Flaggers, They didn't quite know what they were doing out there. They did their very best. And I don't blame the flaggers because they're out there communicating and they're trying to figure out when to throw flags, but they have a weird view. We 100% need lights on the jumps. Any blind jumps, we need any jumps where you're gonna have the red cross flag, you need a red light on both sides. We need to have that clear. And they could be an innovator on that too and be the first ones to really implement a good lighting system. And World Supercross wants to be the premier series in the world. Well, let's start by doing a few things that the AMA series doesn't and getting padding around the outside and lights. I'm gonna give them an A- for this race. I was so excited about what they did, how they did it. It worked out really well. Hey, thank you members. I really appreciate everybody who has signed up. All you guys are entered to win the Coach Rob custom painted 6D helmet, the CRS helmet. Anyone who's a member, we're gonna give this away at the end of December before Anaheim. And what we'll do is we'll draw, and then we'll hit you up, find out what size you need, and get your helmet custom painted for you. And I really appreciate it. That $2.99 a month to be a member helps me a ton, helps me get to these races when I'm allowed, when not kicked out or fighting a legal battle. But I appreciate it a lot, and I want to get to more of these races and give you more stuff. I'm going to try and hit some of the arena crosses this year. I'm going to do my best to make this channel better, and I thank you guys for helping me. Here's your